Bed yoga is incredibly centering and grounding. You've got all the props right here that you need, your pillows, blankets, the wall, and if you have a bolster, you might want to bring that with you. If you're following along with this video for your practice, you won't need a timer, but eventually you might want to get to the point where you're not using this video and just timing your own poses once you start to know the poses well. Start in a position with your legs up the wall. You want to get your bum in as close to the wall as possible, and we'll begin with the legs straight up. Make yourself comfortable so that your shoulders and neck feel supported. If you need a small pillow underneath your head, you're more than welcome to take a pillow or even a rolled up towel and place it under the nape of your neck. Relax the shoulders. Relax the arms into a comfortable position. They might rest out to the sides, or your hands might rest on your abdomen. Stretch the legs straight up and situate yourself so that you don't feel like there's a lot of pressure in any one spot. The circulation feels like it can flow freely through the legs. You might want to move the feet around a bit here to help you get situated, perhaps pointing and flexing the toes or circling the ankles. And once you've found yourself in a comfortable position, bring your attention to your breath. And let your inhales become a little bit deeper, and your exhales become slow and soft. You might even count your breath in, stretching it out for 4 to 6 or even 8 counts. On your exhale, the same thing, counting it out slow and steady. Maybe even stretching it out for double the amount of time that you inhaled for. Let each inhale be a reminder for your awareness to come into the body, each breath taking you a little deeper. Each exhale reminding you how to surrender, how to release, and how to let go. We have work to do in this world, but the work begins first with ourselves. The work begins by cultivating deeper awareness and understanding. As we cultivate deeper understanding and awareness about ourselves and the world around us, we're more centered, we're more grounded, we have less ego, more respect. We can approach situations and people with more empathy and a deep compassion. We are here to learn a lot of things, but one thing is for certain: we are here to learn how to love ourselves and to love others. And this journey to awakening our self-love, our self-compassion, our love of others, it all begins with more awareness. This awareness is rooted in the simplicity of the breath in and the breath out. The breath is the one thing that we've had with us from the time we were born, and that continues to follow us day by day, moment by moment. Moving into a hip opening pose, sleeping swan or reclined sleeping swan. The right ankle crosses down over to the left, just below the left knee. Your left leg can stay straight, or you can bend it to deepen the stretch on the right side, the right hip. You'll feel this stretch in the parts of you that are most restricted, that are carrying the most resistance or tension. So if you notice you feel this a lot in your lower back, or you feel it mostly in that right hip, or maybe even in the outside of your right leg, wherever you feel it is just fine. Let your focus shift to breathing into that sensation. Wherever the sensation is, directing your breath a little deeper. Imagining your breath almost like a massage. So the in-breath fills up the parts of you that feel tight. The exhale softens the body, softens your tissues into this pose. Once you've found a position that feels relatively comfortable, that you can maintain with an easy breath for 5 minutes, your focus shifts back to the breath. Your inhale, drawing your awareness deep inside. Your exhale, a reminder to let go. Remember that in any of these postures, if you get to a point that's so deep it feels like it's hard to take a breath or you can't take a full breath, that's your body indicating that you're a little too deep in that posture, and it's a good idea for you to back out of it a little bit. If you're so deep in the pose that the breath is a struggle or feeling forced, the body is gripping and holding on and not letting you surrender some of that resistance. So it's important that you're able to feel a sense of ease in each pose. That doesn't mean that there isn't sensation, because there absolutely is. But learning to recognize the difference between sensation versus pain, or discomfort versus pain, and recognizing what sort of sensations are helpful and healthy, and what sort of sensations are possibly doing more harm than good in your body. These hip opening postures are primarily focusing on the middle of the body, the hips. Also, when we're affecting the hips, we're affecting any of the tissues that are moving away from the hips down towards the knees and up the back. So we're really affecting a lot of major joints with this one position. If the hips become too tight, too tense, too wound up, they're not able to make the movements that they're naturally supposed to do. And when that happens, the joints below and above start to take on more of that work and that movement. So the low back takes on more of that movement, the knees take on more of that movement, and we start to get overuse injuries and issues popping up in both of those areas. That's one reason why it's really important to work on opening up the hips, keeping the range of motion, enhancing the range of motion, maybe even improving the range of motion if you notice that you're limited in this area or you've started to lose range of motion. Heading to the other side, lengthen your left leg long, uncross the right leg. You might want to move the ankles around a bit before you switch to the other side. And then once you're ready, the left ankle crosses down below the right knee. You can keep that right leg straight or bend it. The bend doesn't have to be all or nothing. It can be a half bend. You might start with the leg long and then After a minute or so in the pose, bend the knee as your hips begin to open up more. In these hip opener stretches, you can even walk the hips away from the wall a bit so the buttocks isn't as close to the wall. And that will give you a bit more freedom in the hips, a freedom to bend that right knee more. Play around with it. Play around until you find a position that feels like it's working well for you today. Once your body's gotten comfortable again, your attention shifts back to your breath. Your awareness is being drawn in by that breath. You find yourself relaxing deeper with each exhale. Your breath acting like a massage, coming in, manipulating the tissues, opening up the tissues, and the breath going out, taking with it tension, resistance, anything else you're ready to let go of. As your breath draws your awareness into the body, not only breathing into the sensation in the hips, but notice where else in the body you have sensation. Maybe in your shoulders, your neck, maybe in your jaw, your ankles. The body knows, the body remembers, the body holds on to parts of our past. It holds on to memories. It holds on to experiences. The body remembers those things and sort of as a way to teach us or to remind us. But at certain points, it's time to let go of some of those memories. Time to move into some of those memories, explore some of those memories, move through some of those memories. What we can hope for as we breathe into these tissues that hold more than just tension, that hold memories and hold experiences. We hope that we can shift our perception of some of those experiences if they were negative, and instead look at the learnings, look at what these experiences and circumstances taught us. Maybe those learnings weren't necessarily pleasant. Maybe some of them were downright awful. But allowing yourself to feel, allowing yourself to explore the depth in order to gain a deeper understanding will be a powerful experience. Lengthen out your right leg and uncross your left. Moving into a wide leg position. Not both legs moving equally out to the sides, but instead one leg. Take your right leg to the right as far as it will go, as far as it will go comfortably. And then your left leg, just sliding it towards the left until you feel a good stretch on both inner thighs. Don't overdo this, and the idea isn't for both legs to be equal here. The idea is to get the right leg as deep as possible first, and then take the left leg off center just to the point of comfort, to the point of sensation, but a comfortable sensation. Once you've found that position that you'll maintain and rest in, your attention comes back to your breath. Your breath draws your awareness into the body. Your exhale reminds you how to let go, how to be softer, how to follow the flow. This practice of yoga is a process of mind and body working together. The breath, as we take it in, moves tension. We feel the reactions and the response of the body as we breathe in. We may notice various emotions or qualities that arise within us. We work to stay present to what we're feeling. Breathe into those feelings fully. Notice what's familiar. Notice what's different. Notice what's new. Allowing ourselves to explore not only the positive sensations, the easy sensations, the pleasant sensations, but also notice the sensations that feel heavier. The parts of you, when moved into, feel a little dark or bring up emotions. Honor that aspect, those aspects of you, just as much as the more pleasant parts of you, the more parts of you that you easily claim as you. These parts have power, and they influence our life just as much, or maybe more, than the easy, happy, light emotions and sensations. All emotions have a vibration, and sometimes those vibrations can get stuck or stagnant in certain tissues. So pay attention when certain types of emotions come up. Notice what sort of memories are attached to them, what sort of emotions are attached to what sort of sensation, and just get really curious about all of these things and the connections for you. When these vibrations get stuck within us and we're not allowing them to move through us, or we're stifling our experience of them, we can almost become them. We can become our fear, we can become our guilt, we can become our shame. Allowing ourselves to go into those parts that are a little bit messy, a little bit, maybe they feel kind of yucky to us, or they feel we don't want to go back to them because we remember how hard it was in the first place. But maybe there's still something there that you need to learn or acknowledge or accept. Breathe into your body. Breathe into your tension. Feel where there's emotion, feel where there's tension, feel where there's resistance, and stay with it. Ask questions. What is it teaching you? What is the lesson? What is the truth? Can you trust this guidance? Do you trust your own inner wisdom? Make your way to the other side of this pose. You might just help the legs back to center. And then guide your left leg as far to the left as it will go. Let that right leg come off center. And relax here. Once you've found your position physically, let your body settle. And again, your attention comes back to the breath, following that breath in, following that breath out. These shadow aspects of ourself can oftentimes even block some of the light within us. When we accept all aspects of our self, of our humanity, and that we are not all butterflies and love and light, this is actually a way of coming more into our power, of letting go of the ego-driven mind or the ego-driven aspects of us and being real, being honest with ourselves. As we learn to recognize the sensations and the emotions and anything else that's coming up within a pose, and we sit with it, breathe into it, have patience with ourselves, surrender to whatever is coming up or whatever is not coming up. Watch yourself, allow yourself to open, to change. Yoga teaches us that nothing is permanent. Not our joy, not our pain. Yoga teaches us that it is in accepting that the flow of life is continuously moving and changing. Accepting that we'll always have feelings of up and down and cyclical emotions that ebb and flow and change. And the more we recognize that we are fluid and allow these emotions to change and flow through us and feel them and not push them away, the less we have to worry about getting stuck in one. Take a few more breaths here. Place your hands to the outside of your thighs. Guide those knees back to center. Again, you might want to take a moment to circle the ankles, point and flex the toes, and get the circulation going through both sides equally. Bend both knees down towards the belly and flare the knees out to the sides in sort of a butterfly position with the bottoms of your feet touching. So the pinky toe edge of your foot is against the wall. Don't force the heels to stay pressed together, but let those heels come apart a bit. That will make this position more relaxed, more comfortable. Let the legs get heavy. Remember, you may need to prop a pillow or a blanket underneath the outsides of your thighs in some of these poses to allow you to be more comfortable, to be more relaxed. And that's okay, by all means. Adjust yourself accordingly, adjust yourself so that you're able to relax as deeply as possible. Notice where the sensation has changed and moved to in this pose. Is it different from the last two poses? What's the same? Breathe into the sensations. Inhale, drawing your awareness into the body. Exhale, reminding you how to let it all go. Each inhale taking you a little deeper, opening you up. Exhale, letting you soften into your sensations. Soften into whatever awarenesses or emotions might be popping up for you. Notice any thoughts that keep coming back. Let your thoughts move through you just as easily as your breath moves through you. Not letting any one thought get caught or start circling around, but just as easily as those thoughts come in, let them go out. Take a few more breaths in this pose. Place your hands to the outside of your thighs and draw those knees back to center. Stretch your legs up long. Option here to move the legs and the feet around to get the blood pumping again. Moving into a twist from here. Hug the knees towards the belly and take the legs to the right. Not just the knees, but the feet, the lower legs, the knees, the upper legs. Everything moves towards the right. You can keep the knees bent or you can lengthen the legs out a little bit. Relax into this twist. Let your belly soften. Your left shoulder melt heavy into the bed behind you. If you need to pull a blanket in or a pillow underneath that left shoulder, go right ahead. Again, just make sure you feel supported and comfortable. If this twist feels like it's too deep for your back, if you have a hard time breathing in this pose, bend your knees back up to center a bit more and put a pillow or even a couple of pillows under the right side, so your legs would come down and rest on the pillow as opposed to coming all the way to the mattress. Make sure that you're situated in a position that feels supportive and that you can surrender completely into. Carefully draw the knees back to center. You might need to take the knees up or take the legs straight up again before you go to the other side, or you may just feel like you want to rock side to side a little on your low back. And once you feel ready to shift to the other side, move your legs to the left, but you also might need to move your pillows to the left if you need those underneath the legs. Remember that both sides might not look exactly the same, so really adjust and set yourself up according to how you're feeling. Once the legs go to the left, let the shoulders melt a little heavier. Imagine there's a hand on your right shoulder, just gently softening, reminding that shoulder to soften, to let go. Position your head in a way that feels loose and relaxed. Everything's supported. Supported so well that you can really just let go. Let go of any ounce of tension or resistance in your body. Don't force the breath to be any certain length or depth, but just let the body take in what it needs. Let go of what it doesn't. Take just a few more breaths in this position. Take a breath in, and as you exhale, draw those legs back up to center. Stretch your legs long. Make any moves with the feet and ankles and knees that you need. And our next pose is a wide leg split. So we've done legs wide, but with a tilt to one side or the other. So now from center, take the legs equally out to the sides, as wide as they'll go, obviously comfortably. You want to make sure you can still breathe. Once those legs go as wide as it's comfortable, you can haul a pillow into either side if you need it, underneath the thighs on each side. Or if you're good with no pillows, just let yourself settle and relax here. Roll the shoulders underneath of you. Let your collarbones be broad. Shoulders wide, relaxed, heavy. Arms in a comfortable position. Attention back to the breath. Inhale, drawing your awareness deeper. Exhale, reminding you how to let go. You may notice the longer you stay in a pose and the deeper you breathe, the body responds by letting you go slightly deeper over time. Breath by breath, moment by moment, we get subtly deeper, physically, mentally, emotionally, all aspects of us begin to deepen and respond to the posture. The breath helping to facilitate this depth, this connection, this focus. These poses are affecting more than our bones, more than our muscles, our ligaments, our tendons, more than the physical parts of us that we feel the pose in. But they're also affecting the meridians that run through those particular areas, meridians that energize different organs and systems in the body. So this practice becomes a very deep and holistic and healing practice. Take a few more breaths in this position. Breathing deep into the tissues you feel the sensation in. The air bringing in energy, space. Each exhale reminding you of the ease within you. Place your hands on the outside of your thighs and help those legs back up straight. Take a moment here. We've been lying down with our legs up for over a half an hour now, 40 minutes. So just take your time coming up. You might need to lay on one side for a moment. We're going to make our way into half saddle pose. So that's with one knee bent and one leg out long. You might want a pillow or a bolster or some blankets behind you to lean on. The first challenge with this pose is to be able to tuck that right leg back with the toes pointing behind you or out to the side. You might need to sit on a pillow or sit on some blankets here to make this more comfortable in the hips and knees. Take your time setting up here. Get as many props and as many additions to help you set this pose up to be comfortable and to be stable so that you can relax in it. Remember, the goal isn't necessarily to lie all the way back. But if you can lie all the way down with no pillows, go right ahead. There's nothing wrong with having pillows and blankets. The idea of this pose is to open up the front of the hip, the front of the thigh. And for many of us, being still in a very upright position will still give us that opening sensation. So really listen to your body in this pose. You want to make sure that you're not feeling any sort of a twist or torque in the knee. No twist and torque in the knee, just a nice stretch over the top of that right thigh into the right hip. And you might even feel this a bit into the abdominals, depending on how tight you are feeling there. Let your breath come deep into the belly, right down into the pelvis, all the way down to the pelvic floor, maybe even into the front of that hip and thigh. As you exhale, feel your body respond by softening and letting go into this pose. As you breathe into this position, let yourself get heavier. If you spend a lot of time seated at a desk or in the car and you're not accustomed to making this shape with your body, this pose can be really uncomfortable to start out. But over time and when supported properly, you'll start to love this pose and the effects that it has on your body. Take a few more deep breaths here. Getting ready to make our way out of this side. Take your time. So you want to begin by maybe coming, if you're all the way down, come to elbows first, then up onto hands, eventually all the way back up tall. Depending on how you're feeling here, you might even be inclined to just sort of roll over towards your left side and slowly let that right leg lengthen out. Do what feels sort of natural or intuitive to you at the moment, and just don't rush coming out. You might feel like you've been pried apart a bit in this pose, so take your time coming out and then take your time setting up on the other side. If you're doing this practice in the morning, I would suggest keeping this pose till the end. But if you're doing this practice in the evening to wind down, I would suggest starting with this pose. Starting with this pose because it's a back bend, which can be slightly stimulating for the nervous system. And it's a position that's not quite as comfortable and relaxed as legs up the wall. So we'd start with this pose first and then work ourselves into the legs up the wall poses. As you get comfortable here, adjust anything that isn't feeling awesome right now. Once you've found your perfect position, get a little softer. Let your breath naturally become deeper, so not forcing it. Take a few more deep breaths. Anytime you feel your thoughts start to wander off, or you feel your thoughts start to maybe circle, or you get caught on one thought or one pattern of thinking or feeling, simply shift your attention back to your breath. Let that breath draw your awareness deeper. We're getting ready to come up from this pose. So remember your options. You can come straight up, or again, you can roll to the right side and slowly lengthen at the left leg. Take your time in between poses. We're heading into full saddle pose. With full saddle, you might need some pillows or bolsters behind you or blankets in order to make yourself comfortable. The position of your feet might be very different than it was in half saddle. The feet might be underneath of your buttocks, or they might be out to the sides of your buttocks. Your toes may be pointing back or out to the sides. Remember, if this pose bothers the tops of your feet, to take a rolled up towel or some blankets and slide it right under the crease of your ankle, and that'll make this a lot more comfortable. Lay back, stretch out. The sensation in this double leg position versus the single leg one can be considerably more intense through the low back, through the front of the hips. So just make sure that you're recognizing if the sensation is a little too intense and you need to come out a bit or put more pillows behind you. Deepen the breath. Breathe into the sensation. Take about 10 more full breaths. As we get ready to come out of this pose, I encourage you to come straight up from here. So we're going to use the strength of our hands and our arms and our shoulders and our core to start pushing ourselves back up into an upright position. Really take your time coming out of this double leg position. Don't rush it. And once you've made your way up and out of this pose, we are moving into a pose from a seated position. So take your time. If you feel like you just need to lie down flat for a minute, go right ahead. From seated, stretch those legs out long for a moment. And then we're going to go into that butterfly position again with bottoms of the feet together, knees dropped out to the side. We did it on the wall before, but now we're doing it from seated. Let the back round, let the head curl towards the feet. Take a few deep breaths down into the low back. You can stay in this position with the feet together, or if you prefer, you might even come up and take the legs wide into sort of a wide leg split position and fold forwards again from there. Either option for this forward fold. If you're not finding this forward fold very comfortable, put a pillow underneath the knees, maybe even sit your bum up on a pillow, or place some pillows underneath your forearms to rest your head on. Pull in whatever props you need to make this pose feel soft, easy, relaxed. Take your last few deep breaths here. Slowly make your way up from here. Take your time. Guide those legs together. Roll down onto the back. Get comfortable here. You might keep the knees bent with the bottoms of your feet on the bed. You might put some pillows underneath the legs. That can make this very comfortable. You might let the knees drop out to the sides. Or you might just go ahead and lengthen out the legs so that they're long and perhaps hip width distance apart or wide. Whatever position you're taking, just make sure that you're comfortable. Let your hands rest on your belly or your chest. And take a few deep breaths here just to close off this grounding and centering practice. Thank your body, your mind, your emotions, your thoughts, your breath, all aspects of you that work together to give you this time of self-care and reflection. May your thoughts, words, heart, and actions align.